different computers in a wide open area, or it can be a small business where you have a clerk maybe at a podium, at a kiosk, and there's a computer there, but it's a computer that can be seen by all. Someone sends that individual an email with an attachment. The attachment may be an off-color joke. It may have racial humor that is inappropriate. It may have content in terms of pictures that are inappropriate for people to view in the workplace, that create a harassing workplace, or even for the public that make the public uncomfortable when they walk in. These all are issues of cyber character. When we grew up, we engaged in or were victims of or witnessed incidents of bullying, of interpersonal communications that were very different than what our children are experiencing today. We see it in the workplace, we see it in the sporting events, and we certainly see it in the schools. We cannot, as an organization that promotes good character, stand by and not become involved and not encourage all members of our community to participate in promoting good cyber character. The purpose of today really is to sort of raise issues, and we're hoping that as you leave the room today, you'll be thinking of questions. It's a day to generate questions, a day perhaps maybe to generate concern, not really a day to come up with the answers or the solutions, but it's something that we can all walk away from and say to ourselves, this is an initiative that we have to pour our heart and souls into, and one that we want to perpetuate for quite some time to come. Because we have to start to teach today's children, and just as with our essay contest winners, who Mark and I like to make the comment that this is a great opportunity for the children to teach the parents and the teachers. If we teach our children about good cyber character, we in turn will have great educators to teach parents and business people and coaches in turn about good cyber character. So with that, I'm going to introduce Brian Engel and Andy Cole. Brian and Andy are with Districts 34 and 30 respectively, and they are going to start off our presentation, and then we're going to hear from the police department as well.
My name is Brian Engel. I'm the Director of Technology in Glenview District 34. I'm going to lead off the presentation. Andy is going to follow up with more detail about actual cyber character, and then Owen is going to lead in on what impact this has on the police, the judicial system, and what role the police department's taking in helping create better character out in the community. The first part that I'm going to lay down is I'm going to talk about how this environment is for our kids, what they are exposed to, because in order to talk about creating better cyber character, you need to know exactly what the kids today are experiencing, what involvement they have on the internet, to truly understand where they can get themselves in trouble, how this has increased dramatically even over the last 2 years in terms of online presence by students for us in our district as low as second grade, first grade kids getting online, not necessarily putting information out there, but we certainly have third, fourth, and fifth graders putting information on the web and not being aware of how that impacts other students, how that impacts other people in the community, and how that impacts their long-term ability to go to college, to the college they want. The majority of Ivy League schools now are looking at information that's been posted on the web, and once it goes on the web, and we'll talk about this, it's there. I could almost guarantee that anything you've posted on the web, Andy and I could spend part of a day and go and find it. No matter if you've deleted it, you've taken it off, you've put it somewhere else, it's been cached by some company, and that means they've stored it on their servers and we can go find it. I can go back to the original Glenview 34 website that has been eliminated and erased from all of Glenview, and it's, I think, 15 years old. And I can go back and get day one of that website right now and find that information on the web. So I'm going to talk about what's out there right now. Andy's going to go into a lot more detail about actual cyberbullying, what kids are doing, how they're doing it to each other, and that impact that it has on our schools and the community at large. Because that, of all the things that we worry about on the internet, that is probably the #1 area that we're concerned about right now. Because kids are taking, when I was in school, they used to bully you, in the locker room or walking down the halls. They're taking it online because now it becomes a faceless environment. They can just make up a name, call you something, do whatever. And Andy's going to go in more detail about that. There are a lot of surveys out there, but basically any survey you look at, whether it's here and you look at what kids are exposed to, the sexual images they're exposed to on the web, how many times they're threatened or harassed on the web, it's only increasing. As of this study, which is the most major national study that was out there, 1 in 17 kids have been threatened or harassed on the internet. So, okay, that's, one more kid than we want, but 1 in 17 is a pretty, high number of kids being harassed when we have, 4,000 kids in our district, and, probably, 16,000 kids in the community. That's a lot of kids, or a high percentage of kids that are being harassed online. And that number is only increasing as there's more exposure to the internet. Same study, same conversations about age groups. The age group bracket is actually getting bigger. It started out mostly the kids that were online were 13 to 17. It's, if you have younger kids, I have a 3-year-old. Now I monitor everything she does. She goes online with us, when we're doing. But there are kids who in houses are going online in kindergarten, in 1st grade, without their parents around. They have an older sibling. They go online, they go to Webkinz, they go to all these sites thinking that they're completely safe, and they're running into, some issues. There's things called robots online now that talk to you, and those are becoming issues, and people are, having conversations with those, and they're not actually true conversations. It's not like Andy and I talking to each other right here. It's you talking to somebody who you think they are, and then they're saying something about you, and then it just snowballs into a bigger problem. We did a survey in Glenview, and we do it every year now, in the Glenview 34 district, of what kids, because we want to know what our kids are exposed to, what our kids are working with, just so that we have a baseline to know where we need to talk about when we're talking about cyberbullying, where we're talking about stuff. Are we having a problem with MySpace, which there's a lot of information that goes on MySpace. Recent thing, I don't know if you guys watched the news yesterday, but New Trier had a student who hacked into their database, was on the news yesterday, had taken all the students' information. Now he is a very gifted child, very good student, but he had taken information off the server and then had gotten arrested, charged. First thing he did, posted all like his problems with why he got arrested on MySpace. On why it was wrong, all these things, why he shouldn't be, So that is their means of communication. It could have been about a teacher. It could have been about, a director of technology. I hope not. But it could have been, about a parent, another kid down the street. So it's out there. So we want to find out how many kids are on MySpace or have web pages, iChat, do other things. One of the major areas for online bullying is chatting. People chatting different places, and Andy's going to go into great detail about this, but a lot of us don't chat a lot. I mean, I chat a lot, but a lot of you probably don't. How many people here chat online through some form? Okay, I chat with Brett, so I know he better raise his hand. Andy, so there's not a lot of parents yet, or will be. My generation will probably chat more online. I chat all the time. It's probably, we were talking about at the table, it's probably my #1 way of communication with people in my department. Instead of emailing, we chat. I chat with college kids that I'm friends with, high school kids, that's their way because it's quick, instant response, whether it's on my phone or it's on my computer. It's an instant, gratification for me because they send right back. But there are a zillion ways to chat, and as a parent or as a community members, how do you keep track, or how do we teach kids to respect all these ways, or to understand all these ways? And the answer is we can't. But what we have to do is, as I alluded to earlier, is to create good character. So no matter what program they're using, and you look up here, there's a zillion programs. I use Jabber, I use Skype, iChat, people use AOL. There's a zillion of these. So if you try to say, okay, when you're in Skype, do this, when you're in, you can't. But you have to create good character.